Okay. We are. Hi everyone, talking with Serious. Today we have Pedro Gomes from Walletconnect, CEO of Walletconnect, and we'll talk about Multichain, blockchain, some special announcements, and also the story of Walletconnect. I think it's one of the places when you can listen to this, maybe for as an exclusive, we can say. So, Pedro, how are you and how is it going?
Thank you. I'm really well. I'm glad to be here, and I had a lot of fun last time at the Spaces, and I think this podcast is going to be even better.
Yeah, sure. Yes, so basically, this is a podcast where I interview many people from the tech world, YouTubers, CEOs. We talk about Web3, Docker, DevOps, many different topics. Pedro, you are from Portugal, right?
Correct.
And nice. So, can you tell us before we start? Can you tell us something about yourself? If you were a developer, if you was a developer, something a little bit about you, more personal, and then of course we will step into Walletconnect. Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot of people always ask me how did I get into Web3, but few people actually ask me how did I get into programming. And I basically started programming when I wanted to build a website, and I just wanted to sell clothes online, basically as an online shop. And using websites builders out there was getting frustrating. So I just wanted to solve myself a problem, and I started learning jQuery and JavaScript and HTML, and eventually got so intrigued that I didn't want to do online shops anymore. I just wanted to program more and more.
Nice. So, okay. So I don't want to ask you your age, but I can say mine. I am 38, almost 39. So I don't know. But yes.
Well, I'm 27, almost 28.
Nice. Okay, nice. So can you tell us a bit more, like how did you become the CEO of Walletconnect, and then what's going on there? So let's start with that. Couple of more personal questions, and then about Walletconnect, and then we'll go.
Yeah, so in 2017, there was one of the early cryptocurrency crazes, and everyone was talking about blockchain. And I started looking into Ethereum, and it was really interesting. So I joined a company in Ethereum, which was building a wallet, and we were trying to fix a very simple problem of connecting your wallet from your phone. And I came up with the idea of Walletconnect, and I started working on it as an open source project. So that got me into building Walletconnect. In 2018, I was literally just an open source developer, and I had like grants and donations to keep me going. And I basically made that my full-time job, and I stopped working on the wallet. And after 3 years, like in 2021, I actually made it into a company. It grew so much that this open source project was enough to actually build a business on top.
Nice. So, can you tell us if you remember maybe some crucial moments? Because all the project, especially the project that starts as an open source project, they have some moments, either bad or good. I don't know, a day when you were about to close everything, or a day when you like something very good happened. I let you choose if you want to talk about either a bad or a good moment, or even both.
Well, I think everyone has had their bads, their ups and downs. And I also, during my journey with Walletconnect, eventually at some point, donations and grants didn't get me through the way, and cryptocurrency markets were going down. So I had to get a job. I was actually working with Connect, the bridge protocol, and that was something that helped me out. And I also learned a lot with that team. But I think the funniest moments is actually going into conferences and telling people about Walletconnect. And it was always very interesting because whenever you try to find a problem that you believe it's very important but others don't, everyone would just say, but doesn't MetaMask isn't MetaMask enough? And everyone would always assume that, like, we have MetaMask, why do we need Walletconnect? And now I think the conversation is very different, because people who are so skeptical about Walletconnect today, like in back in the day, now are big supporters. And I think that's something that, like, a lot of people may get dismotivated through their journey. And it's important to understand that if you ask people back in the day when there was no cars, they wanted faster horses. Nobody actually asked for cars. And sometimes people don't believe in cars, and you have to believe it yourself.
Yeah, I remember someone, I don't know, I think it was my the father of my grandfather said, like, no, the cards, they make you less social, because you're like in this like small box, metal box. It makes you like isolated from the outside. So they get like this crazy way of things about cars. That basically, it was basically like the social media of the 19.
Yeah. I think people sometimes think about problems where they don't exist, and sometimes they don't believe they're actually the solution.
Yes, and and talking about conferences, let me show you something super fast, because I got this swag in New York. So now let me show you. This is of course he has, but I found it because I have many t-shirts. So I just found it just before the live stream. So I'm showing this proudly.
I'm glad to see you wear it.
Nice. Okay, nice. So let's get into the topic. And you say that about Walletconnect. So let's try to maybe make an introduction. I think you are one of the best people in the whole world, if not the universe, when I can ask about Walletconnect. So I know that Walletconnect has an agnostic approach. So it means that it's not it's less dependent on a technology or a blockchain, because a blockchain is a whole ecosystem. And so being agnostic in an ecosystem, I think that it's important. This is a personal thing, but we see that this world is evolving rapidly. We don't know where we will go in 5 years. Maybe you know, but I don't know. And so can you tell something more about how does it work, some basic stuff, so maybe we can also get more people involved.
It's interesting because being agnostic is it's actually something that makes your job easier, because if you build something that works everywhere, you essentially have solved many problems with one solution. And being agnostic is not just important from an ethical reason, but it's also important from a technological reason, because it kind of prevents segregation, where sometimes you would need to. The first problem that Walletconnect solved was, if you want to connect to a wallet, you don't need to install a different wallet for every application. So it needed to be agnostic for each wallet. And then we started expanding that and started being agnostic for every chain and being agnostic for every mobile device. And you basically start to expand everywhere that Walletconnect could work. And that's kind of important, because we're making our job easier, but also we're making Walletconnect more impactful. And if the objective is to make it as a standard in the industry, then we should stay as neutral as possible, where it should work independently if we like another wallet or a specific app or a specific blockchain. It's not about preferences, it's about actually driving the most value for the majority of people.
Nice, thank you. I see some people coming. Constantine to come, Aldrin, Shubangi. Okay, perfect. Okay, can you say maybe in layman terms, like how is the Walletconnect realized the protocol? How would you explain to, I don't know, my grandma, or maybe let's say a high school person, okay, to make your job a little easier? Yeah,
I think and even for your grandma, she would appreciate the explanation that if you use WhatsApp to message between each other, you basically have this very private conversation that it's encrypted. And that means basically that we can send messages between two people without anyone knowing what's in that conversation. And we just replicated that same experience between an application and a wallet. We wanted to make sure that our system was very secure and private and worked everywhere. And because it worked everywhere, it needed to be encrypted. We needed to make sure that only the app that's connected to that wallet can see those messages and no one else. So actually, Walletconnect is more similar to an application like WhatsApp or Signal than it is to most protocols out there. It's basically a messaging protocol.
Nice, nice. So connected to this, I would like to talk about some new announcements that you had in the last month. So maybe we can start from the chat. Okay, is it okay for you? Because you're talking about that Walletconnect. It's like to understand the concept. Of course, it's not a messaging app, but just to have an idea. So, what is Walletconnect chat? But I think, by the way, all the links are in description if you want to know more. If you want to know something more, of course, feel free. So, about the announcement of the Walletconnect chat, what can we say?
So basically, we built for 4 years something that allowed people to connect their app to a wallet. And that meant they would show what accounts they have, and then they would sign transactions and messages, and that would allow them to authorize everything that happens on the blockchain. And then we realized that we have more than 100 wallets connected to the same messaging network. It's not stopping anything that we actually could allow them to message between two wallets. So that's why we released this month the Chat API. So the Chat API will allow wallet developers to build a chat application inside. But contrary to other chat applications, let's say WhatsApp, where only WhatsApp can talk to another WhatsApp app, we could actually have different wallets talk to each other. And I think that's the beautiful thing about being agnostic, because then you could have competing wallets. Let's say a MetaMask or a Trust or I'm Token and Rainbow. All of these 4 different wallets have 4 different user bases, but they can message each other and communicate. So if, Francesco, you like a specific wallet and I like a different wallet, we can still message each other and you don't need to switch apps.
Let me see if I got it right or not, because I still have to see more. I don't know if there is a documentation. So what are you saying is basically that it's something that basically if you have Telegram and I have WhatsApp, I can send you a message, something like that.
That's correct. Then we basically, the only difference is that we build this inside wallets.
Nice. So I think this will be like a killer feature, like in an app that you can message other apps. Because I think I have 3 or 4 chats, and I think more wallets actually than the chat apps. And yes, because so this, I see this like a compatibility solution, which I think it's one of the things that developers are like craving more. So I think maybe even more than efficiency. So like having something that I don't know, makes you sleep well with less headaches. I think that it's a great solution. I think it's a winning strategy also to make something which is compatible with as many things as possible. Because correct me if I'm wrong, if you make something that is more compatible, something like that, it becomes, we can say, a sort of a standard.
Exactly. And that's exactly the mission that Walletconnect tries to build. Instead of building a wallet that has a very exclusive feature for one wallet, we try to establish standards for the whole wallet space. And essentially, if we build chat for one wallet, we're building chat for every wallet. That way we can improve the whole ecosystem at the same time, and everyone can take advantage of the same technology.
Nice, perfect. So now I'm getting an idea. I want to dive deep more. I think that we have some links on the documentation. I think we have in the description. I'll add them later. No worries. So now but that's not just that. You also made another announcement, like the Walletconnect 2.0 sign. Walletconnect 2.0 sign. Okay, so how is it going? Well, what is that about? This you made the release candidate. I don't know if you are about to release something because you move so fast that maybe you updated this like in 2 days. So I'm asking if there are some updates, and so something more about Walletconnect to the Walletconnect 2.0 sign.
Yeah, so after working on Walletconnect version 1, we basically allowed people to sign transactions for 3 years, and it worked really well, but there was also always space for improvement, and we got a lot of feedback. So last year we started the beta that went from a whole year, finishing this month, where we basically added new features. We didn't just improve the performance, we also improved the reliability, making sure that every message gets delivered. But we also added new features, like, for example, when you use Walletconnect, you have to scan a QR code to connect to an app. And if with Walletconnect version 2, you only have to do that once. That means you can connect to apps multiple times, but you only need to scan the QR code once. This reduces the friction for the user experience. And obviously, the last feature, but definitely the most exciting, was the introduction of multi-chain. In the past, you had to connect to one specific chain at a time, and now you can connect to multiple blockchains at the same time. So when you connect your wallet, you could connect to Ethereum and Polygon and Arbitrum at the same time. And we even added support for other blockchains that are not part of the Ethereum ecosystem, like Cosmos and Solana.
Nice. Okay, so let's spend maybe 1 minute, 2 minutes to talk about multi-chain. So, what is a multi-chain? Why should a developer care about having a multi-chain, having to deal with multi-chain? What are maybe also some future cases that you see for multi-chain?
Yeah, I would like to even start with the basic definitions. I think there's a lot of words being thrown around in Web3, and it's important for us to educate ourselves in what all of them mean. So obviously, we started with a simple case, which is single chain, an application that only works in one blockchain. And then we started creating applications that work in multiple blockchains. And that meant that they would have the exact same application repeated in different blockchains. And this is what they call Omnichain, where they exist omnipresent in multiple blockchains, but they're the same application. So you still don't have a full multi-chain experience, but at least as a user, you can choose if you want to use this application on Ethereum or Polygon or Optimism or Arbitrum, but they would work the same, but you still connect to one blockchain at a time. So multi-chain goes a step further. You exist in multiple blockchains, but you also can interact with different blockchains at the same time. So it's not just about, for example, you swapping tokens into Uniswap in Ethereum and then in Polygon. You could do that simultaneously, and then you could even do cross-chain interactions where if you swap a token in the first blockchain, then it would go into the third blockchain or the second blockchain, and you can connect as many blockchains as possible. I think this will eventually just become invisible because we right now have websites that connect to multiple servers, and we don't think about how many servers they're connected to. It's almost funny to think that we now consider users to be responsible of which server it connects to, and it should kind of just happen in the background silently.
I think that the technology becomes really useful when it's more transparent. So it's like a bit hidden, but like I think all the stable technology that we use, we don't have like a whole perception. But I think this is a good thing. So it's like on an operating system or something else. So yes. I don't know. From my perspective, it seems that you are going in the right direction. Of course, I wish you the best. And now, first of all, if you have some questions, even very simple ones, you can drop them in the chat. And maybe we can spend a couple of minutes if you want to talk about the open source part of Walletconnect, because I think many people in the audience are developers. So even for the new announcements, or maybe also about the project, how did it start? So let's talk a bit about the open source part while I start to check something on GitHub in a meanwhile, if you're on GitHub, I think.
Well, I'm a JavaScript engineer, and I've always developed in JavaScript, build web applications and also mobile applications with React Native. And that's how I started building Walletconnect in a JavaScript library, even with a JavaScript server on the backend, and basically just started there. We have now grown. We have Swift developers. We have applications built in Swift. We have applications built in Kotlin. We even have a C# application that works with Unity. So no matter what language you actually write in, you can actually find a lot of things that we built. Even though Walletconnect now is a company, 95% of the code is still open source. We essentially only closed source anything that's regarding to the security of the servers in the operation, and anything that is able to be operated by developers. You can self-host your own server, you can write your own libraries, you can modify them, you can participate with a pull request, even down to the specifications. So specifications are not code. You could even call them almost a pseudocode, we make those open source. As we develop new protocols and new APIs, we have Walletconnect specs that you can actually participate and even contribute to those discussions. So Walletconnect started open source and maintains to be that way. And I think it was one of the reasons for its success, because it had so much community involvement.
Nice, thank you. I already know your project on GitHub, but it's your many repositories, people. It's still very active. So this is a whole good sign of a healthy project. I can say it is for real. And yes, so and about these two announcements, can you say something more, either on the chat one or the sign 2.0? Well, I started to get some questions, but then we will ask them later.
One of the things that you can view on our website at walletconnect.com is that we're not just working on chat and sign. We have two other APIs in the works. One of them we're going to ship this September, which is called Auth API. Auth API will solve a very simple problem where we've built experiences around signing with Ethereum. So websites and applications are now trying to onboard more users from the Ethereum ecosystem by allowing them to, instead of logging in with an email and password or with Facebook and Google, you could actually log in with your wallet. So Auth API aims to solve exactly that. Sometimes people don't want the full multi-chain experience with the Sign API, which has a lot of features, but sometimes people just want to have a one-click login, and that's what Auth API solves. And then the Push API, which is our fourth API that we're working on, aimed to ship next year, is actually driving push notifications into the wallet. Right now we have push notifications, but they're close to Sign and chat, but we'd like to actually open up to have a generalized push notification framework that allowed applications to actually have a much more involved and tailored experience for wallet users.
Nice. So now we are starting to get a question. I don't know if it's related directly with Walletconnect, but let's try, because I'm checking it now, to be honest, because today I've been working, so I don't know if we have some news. So I don't know if you know this opinion on today's news on Solana. So while we were talking, I don't know if you are updated on this. They say that the wallet drained in blue. So I think that tonight my night will be long, because I want to read some news. So I don't know if you read something, but I think it's something related to security, which I think is one of the. When I ask about, like, I don't know, what is, for example, what you don't like about Web3, sometimes I also like, because I like everyone to express their opinions. I don't want to be super biased. I'm an enthusiast in Web3, but many people, they talk about they have security issues, and then someone says that instead it's the opposite, that the Web3 is more secure. So also, of course, related to Walletconnect, but also for your opinion, what can be maybe your point of view on security, we can say. Of course, if you know something about today Solana, but I don't know what's the time
there.
Solana
issue, that's still very recent, and I think we still have to see how it's going to unravel. But obviously, there's a vulnerability that was exploited, that people lost funds in their wallets, and this was actually related to the fact that they actually have some parts of their system closed source. So this is quite a problem, because the more open source, the more scrutiny code can have. You know, a lot of the problems that we've seen in the past, even with Web2 projects, is that they are not transparent enough, and people are not able to identify issues early on. So I think this is one of the learnings that maybe Solana will experience, is that open source does have some problems in protecting codes from copyrights and everything else, but it also has some advantages where these issues would have been found much, much earlier if they open sourced right away.
Yes, and I think you nailed it perfectly, because if I mean, from my perspective, if you have more eyes on on the code, it's better than having less eyes. It's like doing something in public, or doing something, like, I don't know, in a dark street. It's always, it seems that it's better if you keep it closed, but I don't know. We should at least imagine that most of the people have good intentions, because otherwise, I don't know, we lose
And
faith in
honestly, there's
humanity.
more people with good intentions than bad people with bad intentions. And we sometimes forget because sometimes the good people are very silent, but they're quietly listening and hearing everything. And for example, we had a situation where we created a new repo on GitHub for our servers, and we forgot to make it public, and we deleted the old one, and all of a sudden there was a lot of good people that noticed it and notified me right away. And I was like very surprised because I had no idea so many people were paying attention. And all of a sudden they said, "Where's the code? Where's the code? The code is gone." And then right away, within a week, we put it back publicly and we realized people are really paying attention. So it's almost like we have this support because people are noticing when we actually do something wrong. And it just helps. Like you can build a better company. And when it comes to like trademarks and copyrights, at the end of the day, they're very little benefit to compare to the community.
Yeah, and of course, you can tell us that you made this on purpose to see if people were checking the repo or not, right?
Yeah. I actually didn't do it intentionally, and it realized all of a sudden that so many people were paying attention, and I kind of was happy about that.
Yes. Yes. So about any roadmap, for example, on the upcoming projects, because as you said, you are an open source project, so maybe having an idea on the future roadmap can also be useful for developers in chat, or maybe also just for me to have an idea on what is the direction you're going to. Please.
Yeah, so we built Walletconnect as something that makes Web3 developers' life easier. And right now, we expanded this by building a better wallet experience with 4 different APIs. And we expect this to evolve where we build more infrastructure and tooling to provide more developer tools. And right now, we're focusing on wallets, but we want to focus on dApps. And on dApps, we expect to also provide RPC nodes in the future so people can actually have blockchain access and also access to the Walletconnect network simultaneously. We also want to build more user interfaces. A lot of the time, people end up replicating the same components and UI in their applications. So offering that is something that we're also focusing on. And lastly, we want to make sure that people can actually have a good support system. So one of the things I actually believe the Walletconnect chat will be very beneficial is actually adding almost as a support system for their users. So you build an application and you can have like a support chat. So essentially building more and more ways that developers can build an application and not having to worry about repeated tasks or repeated components. So you have more tools there, and that's what Walletconnect is trying to build.
Nice. Thank you, Pedro. Thank you so much. So, Walletconnect as a wallet in your own name. Okay, so you worked, of course, in the wallet ecosystem, but I mean, it's not something which is given for granted. So, what do you think is the impact that Walletconnect had on the whole wallet ecosystem? So basically, you're working for an ecosystem, which is not the easiest thing in the world.
I think that because Walletconnect created this very neutral and agnostic platform, it actually enabled people to build wallets without thinking about how they're actually going to distribute them. I think before Walletconnect, the biggest problems with building a wallet was that how do I now get people to use this wallet? And it was really hard because back in the day, people had installed MetaMask on their desktop. And if you wanted to build a mobile wallet, you would essentially need to build a mini browser inside of the wallet, what was usually called a dApp browser. And that was a very intensive task because building a browser is really hard, even with the existing tooling and that exists out there. And it's very time consuming. So Walletconnect essentially allowed wallet developers to focus on what's important, which is building a very seamless user experience, building something that was intuitive, something that it was innovative and creative. And they had this gateway that allowed them thousands of applications to connect automatically. So you can ship a wallet today with Walletconnect and be compatible with any application on Ethereum and focus on what's really important, which is building a good experience for your users.
Nice. Thank you so much, Pedro. So we have another one from Rashmi. He asks, can any project use it as connection to multi-chain wallet, or what are things needed to use?
So this is a good question, because I think one of the biggest misunderstandings is what multi-chain really means, because blockchains have common interfaces. So they essentially end up repeating the same things. And we ended up creating an association or an alliance called Chain Agnostics. And Chain Agnostic, you can find it on GitHub, actually allows you to build standards that not just work with Ethereum blockchains like Mainnet, Polygon, Arbitrum, and Optimism, but also work with other blockchains that work slightly different, like Cosmos and Flow and Near and Solana. So with Chain Agnostics, you essentially build interfaces that work with any blockchain. So you as a project can build a connection with the multi-chain wallet following these standards. And Walletconnect version 2 basically uses these standards as its main interface. So once you learn about these standards, you can actually build any application that could work with Ethereum and Solana simultaneously, just following them.
Nice. Thank you, and thank you, Rashmi, for your good question. Yes. So now a kind of different question about what's the Walletconnect ambition? Like, do you have an ambition, a goal, something that you want to achieve? So some people can either come in the future and say that was wrong or that was right. So that's the hard one.
Yeah. I think that the biggest unknown that we have in our roadmap is how we actually build a federation with the Walletconnect. So right now, Walletconnect Cloud works in a very centralized service, and ideally this would look as a federation of services. So we don't want to build a new AWS or a SaaS business. We want to build something that multiple people can actually operate the infrastructure. We build something that we believe is flexible enough that can empower a lot of use cases for developers, but it still needs to be decentralized in a way that is not only controlled by the Walletconnect, the company. So transitioning between Walletconnect Cloud today to the Walletconnect network is probably the biggest ambition that we have. And I hope you guys keep ourselves on our toes, because we want to make sure that we fulfill that mission.
Wow, this is really ambitious, because I think it's the hardest part. I think maybe it will be easier. Yeah. Centralization, it's easy because you
Yes.
put everything in the same place and then you'll see. But what you are trying to do, I think it has. I think that it seems that it has some future applications, maybe also use cases. So let's see, because.
Yes.
I like that you said flexible. I think it's maybe one of the biggest skills and things that you can have in this ecosystem now, because it's changing so fast.
Well, if you look into things like the FAT protocol thesis, I think it's a good one, because it kind of describes the idea that the protocol is only valuable as many people want to use it. So the flexibility here drives more demand for people using the Walletconnect network. So if we make something very useful, it's not just useful for Walletconnect, the company, but it's useful for anyone else who uses the network.
Yeah, absolutely, Pedro. So yes. So before we wrap up, is there something else that you want to talk, or maybe, I don't know, some new announcement or something that you are currently working on, especially for developers? So is there something else that we can add on this? I really enjoyed this conversation, by the way.
Yeah,
the internet connection is also better.
Yeah, the connection is so much better than Twitter Spaces. And honestly, I like to have a very close conversation with developers. And I like to say the Walletconnect has always been very focused on that because it's the most important part. It's our developer community. We sponsor hackathons, ETH Mexico, ETH Berlin, ETH Lisbon. We're going to all of these events. We're also going to go to Web3 Conf in India. So we want you guys to reach out and try our new APIs. And basically,
you know that I'll be there. You know that I'll be there in Web3
well,
Conf
I'm
in
not,
India.
but our team is.
Okay, nice.
So
Nice.
you'll be
I'll
able
agree
to
then.
see our team there.
Perfect.
And yeah, so I would like to see everyone like reach out and try our APIs because we want more and more developer feedback and see what creative ways you can build projects on top of Walletconnect.
Nice. I also make this podcast because sometimes I lose some information. So, for example, making this podcast with Pedro, now I know that Walletconnect will be in India. I'll be in India in 1 week. So now I know that I'll try to. I don't know how it's organized because it's their first conference, but yes. Also, let me brag 20 seconds today. I'm appeared on an India's newspaper. It's the first time in my life that my name appears in a newspaper, which sounds a bit strange, appearing in a newspaper, but I don't know. I felt very happy, so it's great. And I think that jokes aside, what really makes a good product, it's really the people, how you interact with this kind of conference. It's a lot of work and overhead, but I think that this can really make the difference. We can also say that this own podcast started, I don't know, maybe one of the reasons is because I met the Walletconnect team in New York, and then we started chatting, and then now we are here. For me, it's great.
Exactly.
But
I think that if you were to describe the success of Walletconnect, it was never from a technological standpoint. In fact, I would say that my code was really bad. But what was really good was the connections that I made in the conferences, and people really believed in the vision, and getting that community around the Walletconnect mission was what made it successful. So sometimes as developers, we get carried away with the types and the tests and all of the little details about what makes an open source code successful, but it's really about engaging and communicating to people to get involved in the project.
I'm glad that you said this. You are really I can see your developer DNA coming out now, and of course, it's not just that, because the code can always be improved. But of course, if you want a project to be successful, you should talk about that project and not just spend. I mean, yeah, I see the code like a book. You can always improve, change the words a little bit, make it more I don't know, sounds better. But it's not just that, because if you just focus on that, nobody will know about your project. So it's a hard balance, especially if you are technical, because if you are technical, you know, say, if I do this, I'll improve the performance on 0.1 milliseconds. That is great. But for a project, that's not what makes a project successful or great, or let's say worldwide scalable, because something is a side project that you do in your house on local host. Everything works perfect, hopefully. But something else is when you deploy these multiple servers, distributed system. Some things goes down. You have some bugs in production. It's a total different game, we can say. And
we see this happening everywhere. Even like the JavaScript language. The JavaScript language, there was the version 1, then the version 2. And you see the more mature a project is, they update faster. And now the JavaScript language is updated every year. Same thing with React. React was something that was updated at a much slower pace, and now it's updated every year. We can even see this with other technologies like 3G and 4G and 5G. Used to take years to upgrade every version. Now they do it almost every 2 years. And technology is always an unfinished book, and you're not supposed to treat it as something that you're going to write it once and it's going to work forever. So it actually takes a little bit of a pressure as developers that it's better to ship something unfinished than never ship.
Nice. And I almost forget, but now I remember that I started as a developer when I switched a career with Unity 3D. So if one day I'll go back, maybe if you want, if I can ask a last question about that. So how do you integrate the Unity 3D, for example, with Walletconnect? This is a personal question for just for my curiosity, and then we can wrap up, of course.
So right now we don't have the Walletconnect version 2 for Unity, but it's being in development. You already can test the Walletconnect version 1. We have a Walletconnect Unity package that's written in C#. And I'm not very familiar with the Unity ecosystem, but Eddie and Julia, who are working on this project, can assist you on GitHub. And you can see their contributions on our GitHub and ask them those questions directly, but we're making sure that Walletconnect works really everywhere. So right now we have V2 in JavaScript, Swift, and Kotlin. The next one is in Unity, and we're striving to have a fifth language, which is in Dart/Flutter, which we hope to have it maybe next year.
Wow, and as you can see, there are some people asking about the Unity, and this can also be a good idea because I stopped coding in Unity, but I am to be honest, I'm trying to find an excuse to starting over again. So maybe I can try to make an example, an experiment. So let's see, because this is a good hook maybe for a future idea, because the game developers ecosystem is always very vibrant. It's always I don't know if we can do something cool. Okay, so this is good. I didn't know this, so that's great.
I think it's great. I think the fact that Unity has such a strong community makes it such a strong incentive for us to focus on it and build packages for that. And we want to enable not just the web applications and the mobile application, but also the game applications, and building the right SDKs and having you guys tested. It's going to be great because then we get more feedback and we can improve, because the open source code is there and you guys can open issues, we can open pull requests, and everyone benefits from a better package for Unity.
Nice, perfect. So, Pedro, this has been really an amazing episode. 40 minutes, they really passed in a blink of eye. So yes, can you give, if you want, a final message about whatever you want, Walletconnect, the Web3 ecosystem, the new developers related to Web3, whatever you want, please.
I think that if you were considering to build something in open source, or if you have always had the ambition of building a project in software, you should always do it open source. It got me to where I am today, and I honestly have met so many wonderful people through the open source community, and it's always worth it. And honestly, every time we hire a developer in Walletconnect, they're 95%, they're always an open source developer, because there is an ethos behind it that really takes you further. And it's not that closed source is not good, but open source is better.
Nice. I really loved this final message, and I think that it's true. It's true. It really makes the difference. I'm old enough to remember, like 20 years ago, like Microsoft or big companies, they were against open source. It sounds like something weird, something crazy, something that I don't know. You don't even know what you're doing. You're doing something wrong. You're giving away your code. Okay, playing the devil's advocate here, of course. And instead, it seems that it's always I don't know, the winning card, the winning thing of many projects. You can say I work, for example, as a developer advocate for Daily Dev, Docker. There are so many examples of open source projects have been successful if done in the correct way. Of course, it's not just about someone said like a public repository is not an open source project. Of course, it's something else. It's a good start, but there is a lot of things, guidelines, how you can maintain it, I think, basically. So just
everything that it's really worth it will take a long time, and open source plays better long term. It always seems like a stupid idea in the short term, but if you wait another year or two, it starts to really play a really important impact in your project, and you will think back and think, I'm really glad I did it that way.
Nice, perfect. So, Pedro, we are at the end of this podcast. Everything went fine. Now I can see this because we are at the end. So the connection worked. If we go offline, I don't know, we jinx it. But
don't jinx it.
Thank you so much. But we are about to the end, so it's
Thank you so much.
close. I feel comfortable, and yes, so I already got a couple of good ideas, but we can keep in touch because I want to maybe because now we made this Twitter Space, we made this introduction podcast, but maybe next time I can get my hands a little bit more dirty. Do some stuff, getting messy with the code, sweat, I don't know, getting some bugs. So I'm now I feel ready for this because now you gave me a really great introduction. Now I know more. I also know more about the Walletconnect ecosystem, and I'm very happy. Thank you so much for coming here today. Yes, thank you so much for supporting here. Dropped your some very good questions, and yes. We are done for today, and see you next time. This is a Talking with Serious, as is when we talk about tech, stack, very a lot of technologies, and of course with top class people like Pedro. Thank you so much, and
My
bye,
pleasure.
everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.